A massive storm is coming to the United States over the next few days, and this is going to bring a ton of problems, including a significant risk of severe weather, including damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. And we'll also be talking about the potential for blizzard conditions with heavy snowfall possible from the Central Plains back into the Midwest. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days. We'll begin with what's happening across the country today, and the good news for today, it's going to be somewhat quiet. We don't have anything too crazy happening for now. A little bit of shower activity moving through the Gulf Coast states. Overall, though, nothing significant. And then this right here is really where the big storm system is. It's right now near the Rocky Mountains. And so it's going to take a little bit of time before we start to see significant severe weather and snow ramp up. But as we go into late tonight and tomorrow morning, this storm is going to explode as it moves into the central and southern plains, with all hazards of severe weather being possible. Even tonight, we could see severe weather, but it's really going to ramp up after midnight tonight across areas like the southern plains. And then we have another big day of severe weather tomorrow, and this will continue to move towards the east coast as we go into Wednesday. And while all that's happening, there will also be blizzard conditions with heavy snowfall from the central plains back into the Midwest. Now let's talk more about the severe weather potential for the next few days. We'll begin with today, which is beginning to look a little bit more concerning. We do have a slight risk of severe weather in place across Oklahoma and North Texas. Marginal threat goes back up near Kansas City and also goes towards Abilene, Texas. The main concern for today will be damaging winds and also some hail. There will be an elevated risk, though, for tornadoes. Currently a 5% tornado risk in place from Oklahoma City back into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Now, you're probably wondering, when is this actually happening, as it does say Monday here? Well, this will likely not occur until about or just after midnight tonight, when a line of thunderstorms begins to develop back over in western Oklahoma and as well as Texas. And then as we go into the overnight hours, this is going to be posing a significant threat for wind, but we also could see tornadoes happening overnight, meaning a nocturnal tornado threat. There is a chance that we try to go live for this late tonight. It's a very hard one since it's going to be an overnight threat, but make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click the bell icon down below so you're notified if we do go live for this particular event. And then by the daylight hours on Tuesday, that risk of severe weather shifts to the east. It'll be impacting areas really near the Mississippi River Valley, with a conditional significant risk of severe weather back over in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. Anywhere in the slight marginal risk, though, you should definitely be weather aware, have multiple ways to receive alerts, and have a tornado action plan in place in case you're under a tornado warning or any sort of severe thunderstorm warning. The main concern for Tuesday will be damaging winds, mainly in the lower Mississippi River Valley, where we could see some damaging winds as high as 80 miles per hour. Definitely a significant wind risk. And then our tornado risk is also conditionally significant, meaning that we could see strong tornadoes back over in the lower Mississippi River Valley. This is likely going to be something that we go live for tomorrow, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified if we do go live. Right now, the risk, though, does look to be a bit more significant, especially in the lower Mississippi River Valley. We could still see tornadoes, though, anywhere from Alabama all the way back up into Missouri. We did think, at least at one point, that we could see a tornado threat even back up here into the Ohio Valley. The problem is our warm sector is not really large enough. In addition to that, there's really not a whole lot of instability that is going that far to the north. This is a lot less instability than initially forecasted, making the severe weather threat a bit more confined. Even then, it's still a pretty large area, but in general, it's not nearly as significant as what it could have been only a few days ago. And then on Wednesday, we anticipate the greatest risk of severe weather to be from New Jersey and as well as Delaware back into Georgia, with even a risk of severe weather up into New York and into Florida. You do not see that very often for the beginning of March, but no matter what here, we're talking mainly about a damaging wind risk. Could see there being a potential for a more significant tornado risk if the environment is favorable enough, which it may be as we go into Wednesday. It's a little too early to tell, but North Carolina would be really the area I'm watching for the closest. There's also a chance that we go live on Wednesday, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel in case we do go live then. Now, tonight's tornado risk could be really significant. I mean, we're talking about the potential for strong tornadoes here in the central and southern plains, but it is a conditional risk because what we have right now is a lot of wind shear and also a good amount of instability here for tonight in the central and southern plains. I mean, significant tornado parameter values as high as 10 to even 13 in some spots. That is definitely favorable for tornadoes. The problem is right now we're talking more about a linear line of thunderstorms, and it's likely going to be a bit more elevated. And if it stays elevated, our risk of severe weather in terms of tornadoes will be on the lower side of things. But if for some reason the line of storms and any supercells that form out in front of that line are a bit more discrete, that is when we're talking about a more significant risk for severe weather, including tornadoes. I think we start out as a line of thunderstorms around midnight tonight, and then eventually into the overnight hours into early Tuesday Tuesday morning, there could be a couple of discrete cells that fire off back over in central or southern Oklahoma or North Texas. Notice how the values are much lower, but even then, they're still definitely up there. I mean, 2 to 3 is a medium end risk for tornadoes, so we may see an isolated tornado or two from a discrete cell. And if that happens, I wouldn't rule out an isolated strong tornado. And then eventually, as we go into Tuesday morning, the risk of any tornado activity will be mostly confined to the Gulf Coast in Louisiana and Texas. May see an isolated spin up as well back up near the Kansas City metro tomorrow morning into the early afternoon hours. And then eventually, as we go into the late afternoon and into the early evening, our main tornado risk as we go into Tuesday is mainly near the Gulf Coast, where a strong tornado or two will be possible in Louisiana and Mississippi. May even see again a spin up or a tornado back up here in parts of Missouri, but it's going to be conditional on there being enough instability in addition to the moisture content being high enough. And then as we go into the overnight hours, that risk of tornadoes will be mainly confined to the Gulf Coast. Here's the thing, the line of storms will be weakening as this moves east, so I think the tornado risk will be dropping corresponding to the weakening line of thunderstorms. Now let's talk more about the timing, beginning with what's happening tonight. We will have a line of thunderstorms, I think, developing right around midnight tonight. This is about the time when we're going to have showers and thunderstorms exploding back over in Kansas and as well as Oklahoma. Eventually, as we go into the early overnight hours, notice how that line of storms continues to move east. It will be approaching the Oklahoma City metro and also starting to develop back over in North Texas as that cap layer will start to kind of diminish. We're going to start to see some storms blow up. Here's the thing, this will be mostly a linear line of thunderstorms. We're talking mainly about a damaging wind risk overnight, but any storms here that are embedded in the line could produce a tornado. We may have a QLCS tornado threat overnight tonight, and then we're also going to be watching for any storms that are able to develop out in front of the line of storms. It's going to get pretty messy, I think, right around the sunrise hours tomorrow morning. However, there could be a couple cells just out in front of that line that are discrete. If we have that happen, we are talking about a potential for an isolated strong tornado. I think the risk of that is low, but it's definitely not zero for the overnight hours. And then eventually, as we get past sunrise, this line of storms is looking pretty messy. But despite this being messy, we could still see a tornado risk transpire even tomorrow morning down in southeast Texas and western Louisiana if any storms are able to mature enough in size and as well as stay a little bit more apart from all that convection that's going to be all around these showers and thunderstorms. No matter what, though, damaging winds still a possibility even up into Arkansas. It's going to be a much more isolated risk, but I think this line of storms will be upscaling as we go into the afternoon hours, meaning that this should intensify into a better line of thunderstorms across eastern Arkansas, eastern Louisiana, and as well as Mississippi. And if we end up seeing any sort of discrete supercells fire off out in front of the line, that is where a strong tornado is definitely a possibility. Keep in mind it's a conditional risk for tomorrow, meaning that the strong tornado threat may or may not happen, but you should definitely be prepared for it just in case. And even if we don't have strong tornadoes, there's still a chance here for some numerous to widespread damaging winds, in addition to just some normal tornadoes that could easily cause damage, especially to things like mobile homes and manufactured homes. Eventually, as we get closer to around sunset, this line of storms is moving into Tennessee, Mississippi, back into Louisiana, mainly going to be a wind threat, I think, after sunset. And then going to the southeast, again, very similar story. Line of thunderstorms right around 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. We're talking mainly about a wind risk, and there could still be an isolated tornado threat, but the line will be weakening. So I think overall our tornado risk is decreasing and our wind threat is decreasing. So generally speaking here, as we go into late Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning, the risk of severe weather is low, but not zero. And then it should start to ramp up again as we go into Wednesday, back over in areas like North Carolina, South Carolina, and really up and down the East Coast. This is what it looks like as we go into Wednesday morning. So a line of thunderstorms weakening as it approaches the Carolinas. There should be a short window, though, around and just after lunchtime where a couple of discrete cells will try to fire off, mainly over in eastern North Carolina, where there could be an isolated tornado or two out of those storms. Further to the north, we're mainly talking about a wind risk that'll try to ramp up as we go into the afternoon hours. No short-term computer models really make it that far out. This is the furthest we can go out, which is about 12 o'clock on Wednesday. No matter what, though, we're talking mainly about the threat, I think, across areas like North Carolina, South Carolina, and also back through Southeast Virginia. Damaging winds, though, still a possibility as far north even as New York, New Jersey, and as well as Pennsylvania. Now, here's a broad overview of this entire storm system. It will explode as we go into tonight and early tomorrow morning. A very strong low pressure system, even for this time of the year. It will get down to around 980 millibars as we go into early Wednesday. One of the strongest low pressure systems you will ever see in the United States in the month of March. We'll also have significant snowfall happening back over in parts of the Midwest. Now, this is going to be a pretty narrow area and it's a quick moving system, so we're not expecting significant snowfall accumulation for most areas unless you are in the upper Midwest, which we'll talk more about here in just a moment. movement, but any snow here is going to be blowing very hard. We have very strong winds forecasted here across the Midwest, so there is a potential here for blizzard conditions as we go into Wednesday morning. Eventually, as we go into Wednesday afternoon and evening, a line of storms will try to refire back along the East Coast, so be mindful. Damaging winds are going to be possible as we go into wacky weather Wednesday. Snow still falling across parts of the Midwest, but relatively light snow by Wednesday night. And then as we go into Thursday and Friday, that is moving into the Northeast. And then our next storm system is currently expected around Friday and Saturday. The magnitude of this one is uncertain, but we may see severe weather return again to areas like the Ohio Valley as we go into next weekend. Now, in terms of total snowfall accumulation, there is not really going to be a whole lot back over in the Central Plains, but if you're back up into parts of the Midwest, we are anticipating a widespread 2 to 4 inches of snow. There will be many areas, though, that get as much as 8 inches of snowfall, and wherever we get the most significant snowfall accumulation is where we anticipate blowing snow, drifting, and as well as the potential, again, for blizzard conditions. So definitely take it slow on the roadways. Back over in the Central Plains and the Midwest, we are anticipating very high winds Tuesday afternoon and evening. This is right around lunchtime on Tuesday. Very high winds picking up across Texas, Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, 30 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, even some spots near 60. This will create the potential for fire weather conditions back over in parts of New Mexico, Colorado, and Texas. And then eventually, as we go into Tuesday evening, the winds stay strong, even in Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, up near 50 mile per hour wind gusts, before eventually the winds a little bit calmer as we go into Wednesday for those areas, but it starts to ramp right back up, back over in the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, many areas with wind gusts as high as 40 to 55 miles per hour, and then things start to quiet down as we go into Thursday. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. There's a good chance we'll at least be live once tomorrow, maybe even twice, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And as a reminder, our 1 million subscriber merch is out at shopmaxvelocity.net, including our signed hats, t-shirts, mugs, and stickers. You can check all this out at shopmaxvelocity.net or the top link in the description below.